with your CIGTV News Update. I'm Donna Bush. Thanks for joining us. The Cayman Islands government has committed to supporting the local Red Cross. A GIS press release tells us that in July of last year, the organization launched the Shelter from the Storm Appeal with a preliminary target of raising $600,000 towards the cost to carry out immediate and essential remedial renovations to the Red Cross headquarters. Initial construction work on the building commenced back in September of last year and is scheduled to continue through the first half of this year. Following a presentation to the government by the Red Cross director and members of the building committee, the cabinet approved funding to support their appeal. Now, Minister the Honorable Tara Rivers said the Cayman Islands Red Cross is a key stakeholder in government's national disaster management strategy, and we're fortunate to have a dedicated organization like this that stands ready to respond to critical incidents and provide support and aid when needed. Through a collaborative partnership with a local private charitable foundation, $450,000 will be contributed towards the appeal. In other news, Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin will leave the Cayman Islands tomorrow, January the 9th, for meetings in London, Brussels, Paris, Berlin, and New York. His travel to these cities means continued discussions about recently approved legislation concerning the country's continued efforts to meet international standards for the financial services industry. Joining him are Minister for Financial Services and Home Affairs, the Honorable Tara Rivers, Attorney General, the Honorable Sam Bulging, and other ministry officials. They will continue discussions about global developments in the financial services industry and Cayman's continued efforts to stay off the blacklist of the EU. They will also outline the steps the Cayman Islands have taken to meet the European Union requirements, reaffirm Cayman's commitment to international standards, and address any concerns of global partners. In New York, the Premier has been invited to speak at the Cayman Finance Breakfast Seminar, where he and the delegation will continue to promote the Cayman Islands as a reliable and stable jurisdiction in which to do business. Finally, this Wednesday, the Cayman Islands is ranked the #1 Caribbean destination to visit in 2019. Caribbean Journal's roundup of the 19 best Caribbean islands to visit this year put the Cayman Islands at the top for this prestigious recognition. The accolades follows recent history-making statistics of record numbers of visitors last year. I'm extremely pleased that the Cayman Islands is the recipient of this distinct honor. It is a testament that the future is bright for tourism in 2019, commented Deputy Premier and Minister for Tourism, the Honorable Moses Colonel. Local stakeholders should be proud of their contributions to our nation's tourism product. I trust that all in the industry will continue to maintain the high standards of quality and unparalleled Cayman-kind hospitality for which we're renowned, he added. Now, the journalist points out that the Cayman Islands are home to world-class accommodations, premier culinary offerings, and a myriad of experiences on land and below the sea. If you missed today's news update, you can go to the Cayman Islands government Facebook page as well as the CIG television YouTube channel. I'm Donna Bush, as always, wishing you a safe and wonderful night. Thank you for joining me here on CIGTV. Did you know that planning permission is required for a shed? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required? Did you know planning permission is required to clear land by mechanical means? You should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman's boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!
Did you know that planning permission is required for an addition, alteration, or any material change to your house? The 10% rule no longer exists. Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required? Did you know your mailing address details on your land register must be up to date in order to receive notices on new development which may impact you? Visit Lands and Survey Department to check your mailing address is correct. Did you know that walls, fences located along the road require planning permission no matter the height? You should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required. Did you know that fences and walls within the high water setback require planning permission no matter the height? You should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required. Did you know that a trellis structure requires planning permission? You should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required. Did you know that a deck more than 6 inches above finished grade requires planning permission? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required? Did you know that planning permission is required for a sign? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required? Did you know you should check with the department before leasing a property or unit for a business, as a planning and permit application may be required?
The Esterly Tibbets Highway 3-lane roundabout is ready for drivers. It's time to make sure you know how to use it. First, know which exit you need to take. Pay attention to lane arrows and signs. Make sure you use your signal to change lanes or exit the roundabout. To turn left, you always approach in the left-hand lane and indicate left. To drive straight ahead, you need to be looking out for signs and road markings indicating which lane to use. Get in one of the lanes marked with a straight-through arrow. If turning right, you must use the right-hand lane and indicate accordingly. To use the roundabout safely, remember these 3 tips. Know your exit, pick your lane, and signal to make your turn.